رمضان تجلى وابتسم، طوبى للعبد إذا اغتنم أرضى مولاه.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيبي إله العالمين أبا القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. صدق الله العلي العظيم. In the name of Allah, the All-Beneficent, the All-Merciful, the month of Ramadan is one in which the Quran was sent down as guidance to mankind with manifest proofs of guidance and the criteria. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 185. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We would like to welcome you all to our 2025 Shahr Ramadan program at the Islamic Center of America, hosted by the United Network of Islam. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with another opportunity in seeking closeness to Him in the holy month of Ramadan. May Allah accept and reward all your efforts and worships in these blessed days and nights, inshallah. Before we start with tonight's program, we would like to recite some verses from the Holy Quran. Please help me welcome Brother Ali Rida Baki to the stage after 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والنجم إذا هوى ما ضل صاحبكم وما غوى
Brother Ali Rida for that beautiful recitation. If we could give him another loud salawat. So a couple announcements before we get started with tonight's program, inshallah. We were advised not to have any like food or drink inside of the masjid. Water is fine, but please try to avoid that at all costs for any spills or anything that would damage the masjid floor, inshallah. Thank you for your cooperation. For the question QR code after the program, there are papers outside that can scan the QR code for the Q&A after the program. So please scan it and it'll direct you to the link to submit your question, inshallah. After the program, also, inshallah, we have a raffle in honor of Imam Hassan's birthday. So it'll be general questions, Islamic questions, and we're raffling off of some gift cards from Dearborn Fresh, along with some souvenir Asal B. It's like it's like a nice box of like assortments, chocolates, and all that stuff. So please stick around for that as well too. The Medina bookstore, alhamdulillah, through the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the efforts of the sisters and brothers of the UNI, we have made an initiative to truly dedicate our efforts in reviving the Medina bookstore in hopes that we can sincerely give proper Islamic education about our beliefs from our grand respected scholars in the modern era that have truly done great work for the sake of Allah and Islam. The Medina bookstore will be open every night during and after the program in the month of Ramadan. If you have any questions, please see me or one of the organizers after the program. In the holy month of Ramadan, we are taking sponsors each night to help us with our UNI programming, bookstore, and so much more. In our traditions, we usually always donate on behalf of our deceased. General 90 donations are set to $100 per night and $300 to sponsor a Sword with a Scholar events. If you'd like to sponsor a night, please meet with me or one of the organizers after the program, inshallah. Tonight's donation is another general donation on behalf of the Shuhada, the Muslimin wal Muslimat, the ones deceased and alive. If we can please recite Surah Al-Fatiha by the Salat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Thank you. Make sure to keep up with the UNI on Instagram. That's at UNIORG underscore. Again, that's at UNIORG underscore. For weekly programs and events throughout the year. For those who don't have social media, please see me or one of the organizers after the program so we can put you in our WhatsApp announcements chat where all details will be shared there as well, inshallah. So without further ado, please help me welcome my sincere friend, mentor, and brother, Samahat al-Sheikh Ahmad Cherri, after 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. I begin in the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. May the peace and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon his final messenger Muhammad and his blessed and purified progeny. Assalamu alaikum, brothers, sisters, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As'ad Allah ayyamana wa ayyamakum. Congratulations on this blessed occasion on which we remember the birth of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. And we send our congratulations to the Imam of our time, Ajjallah ta'ala Farajul Sharif, Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, on this blessed occasion. In light and in honor of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, it is only befitting that we mention a few words about his life so that we can take from his light into our own and gain nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the door of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, which is one of the means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not placed for us on this earth as a option amongst options, but He placed on this earth for us as an obligatory door that we must enter in order to reach Him. Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, for those of you who were present on the lecture when we spoke about Sayyidah Khadija, we touched upon the sad reality that we have maybe 150, 200, an estimate, narrations with regards to Sayyidah Khadija, very little. Imam Hassan alayhi salam says Imam Ali alayhi salam was the most similar to the Prophet, while Imam al-Husayn was most similar to Fatima al-Zahra, and I am most similar to Khadija. I'm most similar to Khadija. This is his own description of himself. Others, like some historians, like Abu Huraira and others, they describe him most similar to the Prophet. But Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam describes himself as most similar to Sayyidah Khadija. So if we want to understand that blessed lady, we also can understand her through analyzing al-Hasan alayhi salam. In a speech after the martyrdom of Imam Ali alayhi salam, Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam ascends the pulpit and he says about himself, I am the son of the bearer of glad tidings. I am the son of the warner. I am the son of the one who called people to Allah by His permission. I am the son of the shining lamp. I am from the household from whom Allah has removed all impurity and purified them with a thorough purification. I am from the household whose love, and this is important, I am from the household whose love Allah has made wajib, has made obligatory. In His book, where He says, say, I do not ask you for any reward except love for my near relatives, and whoever earns a good deed, we shall increase for him good therein. So the good deed referred to in this verse is love for us, the Ahlul Bayt. This is the wajib love that Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam is referring to. In the earlier discussions, we discussed that there are two types of love. We said there's a genuine love, and we said there's derivative love or instrumental love. Say that there's a source of love, which is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then there's a love for the means to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our love for Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam is none other than our love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now naturally, you love God, but you want God to love you. That's something else. It's one thing to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it's another thing to be loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now some people like to say and like to claim that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves everybody. The reality is that that is not the case. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not love injustice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not love criminals. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not love murderers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are things that He dislikes. There are things that He detests. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes clear that there are things that He does not love. And so for us to walk on this path and journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what we hope and aim to achieve is to attain God's love. And this is what it comes down to, brothers and sisters. It comes down to that we got to get to a point in our lives where we strip ourselves of any attribution to the I, to the self, to the ego, of anything, be it success, be it the achievement, be it what we want to reach. We have to understand that none of these things that we are striving towards can we achieve on our own, that we require Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam says in a narration, whoever seeks Allah's pleasure, even if it leads to people's displeasure, Allah will suffice him against the people, and whoever seeks people's pleasure at the cost of Allah's wrath, Allah will leave him to the people. And he continues, he says in another narration, I guarantee that whoever has nothing in his heart except the pleasure of Allah, his supplications will be answered. Again, sometimes the issue is an issue of linguistics. It's an issue of language. And that's why when there's a saying that when a translator translates something, it's like he's giving you a half-eaten apple. You're never getting the full idea. We read in the narrations, and people say, brother, fear Allah. Have fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They say taqwa. The word taqwa is fear. It's an incomplete meaning, incomplete understanding. Taqwa does not mean fear. God is not frightening in that sense. It's not just fear. It's fear of God's justice. You're supposed to love God, but fear His justice. God is just. He will implement justice. That's what you fear. Not that, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, you fear God, as in God is frightful. But the term for taqwa, when it's translated, either translated as piety or ittaqillah, is translated as fear Allah. In the same way that we say 5 times a day, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. What's mustaqim is translated as? The straight path. Mustaqim in Arabic doesn't mean it's balanced. Doesn't just mean straight. It means you're asking God for a balanced life. Sometimes you're getting half the meaning when we translate it into English. That's why we have to contemplate the meaning of these words. So when he says, whoever seeks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure, even if it leads to people's displeasure. What is meant by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure? If the religious rhetoric is not made clear, then we're not going to be able to bridge and make that connection. Subhanahu wants from you, why He wants you to lead a God-centric life, is for your own good. It's for your own salvation. It's for your own interest. God, He doesn't need neither me nor you. You're right. He doesn't need your prayers. You're right. He doesn't need your hajj. You're right. He doesn't need anything that you do. He doesn't need your existence. His existence does not gain anything from your being. Everything about you is need. Everything about Him is perfection. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure and His satisfaction is for your own good. It's for your own perfection. It's what leads to your own tranquility. It's what leads to your own happiness. Whoever seeks Allah's pleasure, even if it leads to people's displeasure, Allah will suffice him against the people. If you seek God at the cost of people's displeasure, then God will take care of you. God will suffice you. And whoever seeks people's pleasure at the cost of Allah's wrath, Allah will leave him to the people. So whoever you surrender your affairs to, you surrender your affairs to people, you prioritize them, their feelings, their emotions, their pleasure over what you know is right, then God will tell you, go with them, be with them. There's no place for you with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in another narration, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to Nabi Musa alayhi salam, when he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala how he could gain divine satisfaction. And God says, "O Musa, my pleasure is in your endurance of hardships, but you do not have the strength for it. You don't have the strength for it. But my pleasure is to see you stand strong, stand tall, to remain principled, remain on your faith in the face of every challenge, in the face of every hardship. But you don't have the strength for it." Musa then fell into prostration, weeping, until Allah revealed, "O Musa, my pleasure is in your contentment with my decree and destiny." When you're content, when you thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what you have. My pleasure is when you are satisfied with what's been given to you and what's been taken away from you. My pleasure is in your contentment with my decree and destiny. Go over some narrations with regards to Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam and try to take from his light, inshallah, some facts about Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. First of all, that the Imam was born in the 3rd year after Hijrah. In the 3rd year after Hijrah. His Imama was for 10 years, and he was born in Medina. He was named by the Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. He was given his name and his title. And the Prophet is the one that did the adhan and the iqama in his ear. The traditions that we have when a person is born, the dhabh al-aqiqah, the sacrificing of a goat or a sheep, and when a child is born, and shaving the head, and donating the weight of the hair in gold and silver, that began during the time of Imam al-Hasan. It began with Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. Salamullah alayhi. Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, in reality, the word al-Hasan, all right, which was roughly translated to goodness, the smaller version of it is what? Who knows? In Arabic. The word al-Hasan, if I want to give a smaller version of goodness, what would the name be? Anybody want to take a guess? Somebody that you all love. Hussein. That's right. The smaller version of Al-Hasan is Hussein. So the status of Imam Al-Hasan alayhi salam is that great. Is that great that is greater than Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam. Al-Hussein is the smaller version of Al-Hasan. Yeah, Imam Al-Hasan alayhi salam is a very neglected Imam, very misunderstood Imam. And he's right in that he's very similar to Sayyidah Khadija from that angle and that aspect as well. In that we fail to understand his grandeur, how big he is, how important he is, the role that he played. What did we say precedes love? We said knowledge precedes love. In order to approach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, we have to understand about his history, about his life, how he lived. Put in some time, inshallah. We're blessed as a community that we have publishers over here. And we have the Medina bookstore, and we have some local publishers. And time has changed. We have means to learn about the life of Imam al-Hasan. We have means to learn about their blessed lives and the things that they did. So we can take from their light and walk in their footsteps. Don't forget that Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, coming the 3rd year after Hijrah, he was with the Prophet in the wars. He took part in every war. He was with Imam Ali alayhi salam in every step of the way. He witnessed everything that took place throughout Islamic history. He was not just a father and a husband and an imam and a leader and the imam jama'ah and a scholar and a servant and a zahid, but he was also a soldier. And he was also a witness. And he was also a person who gave testimony and gave warning to a lot of individuals within Islamic history. The majority of what I found about Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, I will not be able to share on the minbar today, and hopefully that'll give you some encouragement to go and read more about his blessed life, his final words, his admonitions, and so on. Instead, we're going to take from his light, from his words, certain light, inshallah, so that we can apply some of these principles to our lives. Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, when speaking of hard work and effort, he said, O servants of Allah, fear Allah. This is the translation. Ittaqullah. And strive earnestly in your pursuits. Take action before hardship and the destroyer of pleasures, meaning death, arrive. Meaning strive earnestly in everything that you do. There's this element within the religious scriptures and the teachings of the prophets, teachings of the imams, on the idea of perfection of everything that we do. This idea that we should not be satisfied with anything that is less than perfect. It's always there. Not in a negative way. Not in a way where a parent wants their child to be a perfectionist. But in a soft and gentle way where it's trying to guide you to your potential. As if to say, oh man, you should not be satisfied with anything less than the infinite. If you're capable of doing it right, then do it right. If you're capable of being better, then do better. If you're capable of knowing better, know better. And the messengers were sent to let you know that you are capable of doing better and knowing better and becoming better. And always pushing you to embrace that. Always pushing you higher and letting you discover your potential. That's why we see that when Islam came about, there was a leap, brothers and sisters. A leap that wasn't just a leap in people going from being animalistic to being humane. A leap in every field. A leap in medicine, a leap in science, a leap in mathematics, a leap in every field. A leap in architecture, a leap in chemistry. There was a huge leap for mankind when Islam came about. That leap was allowing these human beings to discover their potential and what they can reach. And so work earnestly, strive earnestly in your pursuits. Once the Holy Messenger ﷺ was seen in the grave. He was in a grave and he was placing bricks within a grave. Companions walked by and they saw him placing these bricks, and he was being very meticulous, making sure that everything is in place and is done perfectly. They said, "Oh Rasulullah, oh Messenger of God, this is a grave. Why are you paying so much attention?" Eventually they're going to put the body in and they're going to throw soil within this grave and nothing will show. He said, "I love that when I do something, I perfect it. And I love it that when you do something, that you do it perfectly, that you perfect it. To do everything earnestly. It's not about what people see. It's about the principle. It's the principle that I'm never satisfied with anything less than infinity. I'm never satisfied with anything less than perfection. As a Muslim, that I have that mindset, that I strive. If I reach, it's only by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's success. It's only if God gives me the tawfiq to reach it. But I'm dissatisfied. Because the moment that I'm satisfied with anything less, I've settled for less as a human being. Contentment is important when it comes to worldly matters. That you're content with what you're given. With what God has written for you. Right? When it comes to worldly matters. But when it comes to the intention, when it comes to knowledge, when it comes to nearness to God, when it comes to perfection of an act because it's done in the eye of God, that you're doing it for the sake of God, you shouldn't be content. You should be dissatisfied. When it comes to growth as an individual, growth spiritually, growth intellectually, you should be dissatisfied. You should always strive to do more. Strive to do more. Not to be content when it comes to that aspect. Moreover, he emphasized balancing worldly and spiritual efforts. Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam said, work for your worldly life as if you will live forever. And work for your afterlife as if you will die tomorrow. These are pearls, brothers and sisters. These are things to keep in mind. This is the mindset that we're supposed to have with regards to the dunya. Work for the dunya, for the worldly life, as if you will live forever. And work for your afterlife as if you will die tomorrow. This is the balance that one seeks. Some people might hear that and feel relieved. Work for the worldly life as if you will live forever. It shouldn't bring too much relief, because the problem that the majority of us face is an imbalance. The easy part is work for the worldly life. The hard part is work for your afterlife as if you will die tomorrow. That we be prepared for death as a fixed reality, as a reality that we all have to face, that the Imam described as the destroyer of pleasures that has to arrive. And so it's always a constant reminder. It's that reality check, that things have to be balanced, and that why we ask for balance 5 times a day. And if we want to walk in the footsteps of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, which are the footsteps of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, then we have to be people of balance. People of balance. Now that balance isn't achieved immediately. That balance, you strive to achieve it throughout the lifetime. What does work for your worldly life as if you will live forever, and work for your afterlife as if you will die tomorrow mean? What does it mean? I don't know. We don't know. But we spend our life pursuing that knowledge. We spend our life trying to discover what it means. Trying to discover what it means through its application, through attaining that balance, through contemplating the words of the Ahlul Bayt. Their position and their status is so high, and that knowledge is of such superiority that it takes a lifetime in order to appreciate and understand their words. But it starts with the initial step, by recognizing that I need that knowledge, I need that ma'rifah, I need to connect to Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. It's not a matter of is it optional. Love of the Ahlul Bayt is not optional. Love of Imam al-Hasan is not optional. It's conditional. The love of God on the love of the Ahlul Bayt. You might love God. You want God to love you, you have to go to Him through what? Through the means. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran that you must approach Him through a means. The means have been set. And so we have to have that love for Imam al-Hasan, which is love for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, which in turn leads us to the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us His love and the love of those He loves, inshallah, and the love of all that He loves, and to remove the love of all which takes His love away from us, from our hearts, inshallah. بحق Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Inshallah. We're going to start with the raffle, inshallah, and then move on to the Q&A. بإذنه تعالى.
So we'll raffle off $10 Dearborn Freshkin cards.
Okay. All right, perfect. طيب, I'll ask some questions based on the lecture. See who's been paying attention. Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, what year after Hijrah was he born? Who knows? The sister in the back? 3, that's right. Ahsant. MashaAllah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. How long was the imamah of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam for? 10 years. أحسن. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. خلاص اتفضل. Muhammad, you want to pick who answers? I don't want to get all the heat at the end of it. Because I'm looking in a certain direction while I'm asking. Okay. Inshallah. Wait, let me pull up the notes. Who can remember the first narration that we mentioned, or one of the narrations that was mentioned in the lecture today?
Test. Okay.
Actually, you want to ask? Go ahead. As close as you can. It doesn't have to be word for word.
Any narration?
No. From the lecture today.
Yeah, from the
Yeah,
lecture.
yeah.
Word for-
Preferably the first one.
I don't have the first one. I have anyone.
Okay.
Work for the dunya as if you're gonna live forever, and work for the akhirah as if you're gonna die tomorrow.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على
إن
محمد
شاء الله.
وآل محمد.
Next time, قال الإمام الحسن عليه السلام.
Give me 2 seconds.
أحسنت. Actually, you know what? Keep them all with you. There's 2 left, right?
Yes.
Or are there more?
No, these are the final 2, and then we have the other
Oh,
ones.
there's other ones? Okay. All right. What else can we ask? Who knows another narration that was mentioned during the lecture from Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, or any narration from Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam that can be shared, inshallah? Allah, Muhammad, you're the one that, inshallah.
The girls are not participating.
So قال Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, the translation is, if you work pleasing the people, Allah will leave you in the hands of the people. If you work pleasing Allah, Allah will leave you, He will take care of you, basically.
Inshallah, ahsan. That was the first narration. Ahsan. Ahsan. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
All right. Who did Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam resemble the most?
There's a woman in the
Yeah, see if any of the sisters remember.
sister right here in the blue.
Prophet Muhammad?
Say it again.
Prophet Muhammad?
He did, according to the historians. Yeah, actually, that's right. That's right. That works.
صلى على محمد وآل محمد.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. But there's another one that I was looking for, which is, I should have been more specific. And we'll do it with the next raffle.
Let me
What is the
give-
next one?
The next one is it's from Asal B.
Okay, it's from Asal B. Who does Imam Hassan alayhi salam resemble the most according to his own words? He says, I am most like.
resemble Sayyidah Khadija.
سلام أحسنتم صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أحسنتم. All right.
Okay, let me see if
طيب.
woman's side too.
How many do we have left?
We have 1, 2. I think we have 3 more.
3 more. طيب. There's a sentence that was constantly emphasized throughout the lectures, that knowledge precedes. Knowledge precedes what? Try to go for a sister this time, because the balance of passing out the gifts has been imbalanced, unbalanced. If there is, keep your eye out. Inshallah. Knowledge precedes, and the distinction between what and what? Or else all the brothers are going to be at Dearborn Fresh. If there isn't, then maybe us. We go for a brother. Yeah, if there is. Knowledge precedes. Anybody know? There's on this wall, on this corner. It could be 2 things. If you can give me 2 things, that would be good.
It was belief, right? Knowledge precedes belief.
Yes, knowledge precedes belief or faith. Ahsant. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The distinction between Islam and other religions is that knowledge precedes faith. Meaning, you have to know what you believe in before you believe in it. In comparison to Christianity, where they tell you, accept Christ, accept the Trinity, then you'll understand the Trinity, right? But it cannot be explained to you before you accept it. So faith precedes knowledge. Islam is a religion that came and said, no, knowledge comes first. There's no such thing as blind faith and blind belief. All right, we have 3 more, inshallah. Another question another one for the sisters, inshallah, or whichever, whoever. I had it in mind, but when you said that, I forgot. Something from the previous lectures as well, inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We'll have somebody share with us a narration or a fact about Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, or any narration that's a useful narration. Let's see what someone can share with us, inshallah. A valuable and useful narration, bi'idhnihi ta'ala. Not like a two-word one.
I know Imam Hassan did Hajj 25 times.
Ahsan, sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Imam al-Hasan did Hajj 25 times on foot, by foot.
Wow.
Yeah.
MashaAllah. Okay, next question.
And he traveled by foot to go to Hajj. Okay. Another fact about Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. What can you share with us about Imam al-Hasan?
Just want to see if the girls are going to participate.
There was an instance, a very well-known and famous instance, with Imam al-Hasan and Imam al-Hussein teaching somebody something indirectly. Who can share that with us? That young brother right here. Right there.
He raised his hand first, bro.
That was a very excited hand raise.
Imam al-Hassan and Imam Hussein taught an old man how to do wudu because he was doing it wrong.
And how'd they do it? How'd they teach him how to do wudu?
By doing a contest.
Yeah.
Who
So-
could do it better?
Okay, so they didn't want to tell him directly,
Yeah.
right? Because it would have bothered his ego. He's an old man.
Yeah.
He's not going to take advice from a kid.
Yeah.
So what was the contest? Do you remember?
Who could do wudu better and fat? No.
Yeah. So they agreed that one of them will do it the wrong way. Will
Yeah.
do it like the old man, and then they were gonna. Then one of them corrects the other,
Yeah.
right? And then the old man overheard them, and he understood what was going on,
Yeah.
right? Ahsan, sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Oh,
Allahumma salli ala
ala
Muhammad wa ali
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. All right, one more.
One more.
This one's for all the marbles.
This one's for okay. I'll accept any answer with regards to any of the divisions that we made during the lectures in the previous nights. In the previous nights, we made several divisions. We divided love, we divided knowledge. We said that there are 2 types of knowledge, there are 2 types of love. And so, any of the 2 types, who can answer one of the 2 types? What one of the 2 types are? Any of the divisions that were made during the previous lectures. The 2 types of knowledge, for example.
2 types of knowledge, that's the question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see what this is.
Ahsant.
Love for dunya and love for akhirah.
No.
Wow.
I was surprised that in the beginning. No.
You already answered.
They are like there are 2 types, but they're not the 2 types we're referring to.
Extrinsic knowledge and intrinsic knowledge?
Say, experience knowledge.
No, intrinsic knowledge.
Intrinsic, yes, that is a division. Extrinsic knowledge and extrinsic.
Experiential.
Say it again, I can't hear you.
Experiential knowledge.
You're close, but it's not right 100%. You can try again. You're half right. You're half right. You got the word intrinsic and experience, but there are 2 different categories. There are two different categories. No, and again, no, let's try to find two types of knowledge. There are two ways that you gain knowledge. There's a sister in the back with her hand up.
Extrinsic.
That's right. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Extrinsic and intrinsic. That's the opposite of intrinsic. You said experiential. The division was knowledge is divided into two: experiential and acquired. And then intrinsic and extrinsic. Extrinsic is the opposite of intrinsic. MashaAllah. That's wonderful. Inshallah, we can start then with the Q&A. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. You can do it from the audience if they want. Yeah, anybody has a question, immediately you can raise your hand or I'll go off the QR code that is present, inshallah. All right. Yeah. I'm not going to read the... Okay. What should be the balance for a woman who is pursuing, or for women who are pursuing higher education with the intention of seeking nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while also wanting to get married and start a family, inshallah? By the way, great question for several reasons. Because when counseling marriages, what we found was that certain fields are more stressful on the marriage than others. For example, if you work in the medical field and you're on call, it takes up a lot of your time and you have long shifts, it begins to put a strain and a toll on your marriage. By the time you come back home, you're too tired. At the same time, we need female doctors. It's not like female doctors is optional. It's not optional. Who's gonna do the ultrasounds, right? You're gonna have a man do that for the wife, or a colonoscopy or an endoscopy? It's a very vulnerable position to be in. Shar'an, it's a questionable position for a woman to be in if there's an alternative. So the matter of a woman pursuing medicine, this is just in the case of medicine, there are other fields, right? But it's necessary that a woman pursue a higher education in these fields and other fields as well. The balance is dependent on your wajibat. Being a housewife, being a mother, entails certain responsibilities. The vast majority of responsibilities, as we know it, are cultural, not religious. So what matters is that you find a balance between what's wajib on you, what God wants from you. We say, I want to do what Allah's pleasure lies. There is nothing greater in the eyes of God than the wajib. Salat al-Subuh is greater than Salat al-Layl. Salat al-Subuh is greater than Salat al-Layl. The most beloved of acts God has made wajib for you because He loves it so much, He cannot stand seeing you not do it. A mustahab is something that God loves for you so much, but He can stand seeing you not do it. It's not going to take away from anything. The most beloved in the eyes of God is the wajib. So seeking your higher education, which is your right and a good thing, and being a wife and being a mother has certain responsibilities. Knowing the wajib of that and balancing between the wajib. And knowing that when you, for example, are getting married or getting to know somebody, that you don't, you put them under, that it's done with clarity and honesty, right? If it's something that you want to pursue, that you make it clear to them that it's something that you want to pursue. And that you're sure that it's something that you can do without falling into haram. Without falling into haram. Meaning, I know a lot of people that are putting off marriage for their higher education. It's like, you're not going to get married tomorrow. Get engaged at least. Get engaged at least. There's no harm. No, I want to finish until I get my degree. I don't want to complicate things. But you're falling into haram. Or you're potentially going to fall into haram. Secure yourself from that aspect. Complete your faith from that aspect. You don't have to move in together. You don't have to take on that huge role and responsibility. But at least be open to the prospect of marriage in between. That's my humble opinion. You don't have to. That's my humble opinion. Based on the cases that we have of so many people graduating and ending up with not getting married. Or getting to a point where the older they get, the pickier they get. And things get worse. When you're young, you tolerate more. You can grow together as a person. You have more tolerance. The older you get, the less tolerant you are. And so you get to grow with one another. Even your partner is more tolerant of you. You need somebody to put up with you. Not just you have to put up with somebody. And so the younger you are, the more moldable you are. The more malleable you are. The older you are, the harder you become. The more hardened you become, like clay. And so it's harder to find somebody that fits with your criteria perfectly. But if you get engaged young at least, and it works out, it works out. It doesn't, you move on to other things. The older you are, the more consequences that there are, the more difficult it becomes. So strive to strike that balance, inshallah. And even with regards to the responsibilities, if you're with a partner that's understanding and that you're agreeing throughout the way, then you can divide those responsibilities in any way. Even that which is made wajib can be managed if there's acceptance and there's understanding. Yeah. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No.
What is a good way to go about nahi an al-munkar in like